I don't see it bigger or smaller than others. Charles has obviously driven this car for a long time. He has the driving style he has works perfect with the car. He loves sliding the rears. He likes a really oversteery car, which is really impressive to see. And also just from the moment we get there at the weekend, he doesn't really change the car a huge amount. They kind of know where to start with from the previous years. I've tried pretty much everything now with the car, so I've learned what does and pretty much doesn't work. And then in terms of the inputs that I put into the car, I'm adjusting those to hopefully start to extract more performance from it. I hope that I can do it this weekend, but we'll see.
Lewis Hamilton left Mercedes after 12 successful years with dreams of securing a record-breaking 8th title with the sport's most iconic team. Now, just 5 races into the 2025 season, those dreams appear increasingly distant. What was meant to be a triumphant new chapter has instead become a concerning struggle. Hamilton sits 7th in the Drivers' Championship, consistently outperformed by teammate Charles Leclerc. The gap between them grows with each race weekend, raising serious questions about Hamilton's future at the top of the sport. The contrast between expectations and reality couldn't be more stark. Johnny Herbert, former F1 driver and FIA steward, didn't mince words about Hamilton's predicament. Speaking to Ace Odds, Herbert said, "I think 2026 is Lewis Hamilton's final chance at getting the 8th championship." Herbert pointed directly to Hamilton's age as a critical factor. He's 40 years old now. Is he in his prime? Has that prime passed? Yes. Is he still really good? Yes, Herbert stated, acknowledging Hamilton's talent while questioning whether it remains enough at this stage of his career. The brutal reality, according to Herbert, is that Charles Leclerc is better than Hamilton at the moment, so even if the Ferrari improves, he needs to beat his teammate. This presents a dual challenge for Hamilton, not just improving the car, but outperforming a teammate who's currently demonstrating superior pace. Herbert's warning carries particular weight given the context. If Hamilton fails to win the championship this season, he will have endured a 5-year title drought, equaling the longest of his Formula One career. Was leaving Mercedes the right move? Herbert believes Hamilton needed the change, suggesting the 7-time champion was losing motivation at the team and was frustrated during his final season with the Silver Arrows. Herbert said, "Last season, the Mercedes was so inconsistent, sometimes it could win races, then struggle to get anywhere near the podium." Herbert made an interesting comparison to another F1 legend. The one who always found motivation was Ayrton Senna. He would come back later than most for testing and then found himself winning championships. Hamilton needed that refresh at Ferrari. The early signs at Ferrari initially seemed promising. Herbert stated, "After a difficult race in Australia, Hamilton's season at Ferrari looked really impressive and promising in China with the sprint win. That sprint victory, however, has become an outlier rather than the expected norm." The statistics reveal the extent of Hamilton's struggles at Ferrari. In qualifying, he trails Leclerc 4-1 in head-to-head comparisons for Grand Prix sessions. His only higher grid position came in China, where he qualified 5th, 1 place ahead of Leclerc. The average qualifying gap between them stands at 0.327 seconds, the 5th largest between any teammate pairing on the 2025 grid. More concerning is how this gap has grown over time. In Australia, Hamilton was only 0.218 seconds off Leclerc's pace. By Saudi Arabia, that margin had more than doubled to 0.531 seconds. These qualifying deficits translate to significant differences in starting positions. Leclerc's average qualifying position is 4.8, while Hamilton's is 7.4, a gap that improves only slightly to 6.3 when including his China sprint pole. For context, Carlos Sainz, whom Hamilton replaced at Ferrari, maintained a much closer performance level with Leclerc. During Sainz's first 5 races at Ferrari in 2021, the average gap to Leclerc was just 0.101 seconds. Race day performances tell an even more concerning story. Hamilton is 4-0 down against Leclerc in races, 5-0 including pre-disqualification results in China. He has spent only 34 out of 273 laps, 12.5% ahead of Leclerc this season. Notably, 17 of those laps were in China before Hamilton let the faster Leclerc through. In Saudi Arabia, the gap was particularly alarming. Hamilton finished 31 seconds behind his teammate in the 50-lap race. His average finishing position sits at exactly 7 compared to Leclerc's 4.8. Hamilton's contribution to Ferrari's points tally stands at 39.7%, below Sainz's 47.6% contribution from last year, despite Sainz missing a race. What's causing these performance gaps? Alex Brundle, racing driver and F1 analyst, identified a specific technical issue after analyzing Hamilton's driving data. He goes into high-speed corners and hits a little bit more brake pressure than Charles Leclerc. Brundle explained on the F1 Nation podcast. You can draw a line directly up the wheel speed graph to the steering trace, and the brake aligns perfectly with a tiny bit of movement. It just upsets the Ferrari everywhere. This contrasts sharply with Leclerc's approach. Brundle said, Leclerc is just Mr. Measured on the brakes. We know that Lewis had a problem with the same thing. I saw the data at Mercedes. The critical question Brundle poses strikes at the heart of Hamilton's challenge. Can he coach himself out of a lifetime's worth of driving technique to move towards the car? We will find out. This technical mismatch becomes particularly problematic given the modern Formula One car's characteristics. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella highlighted during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix that today's ultra-fast cars require instinctive driving, leaving little time for conscious adjustments. Brundle said, it's a killer trait to have in a car, especially if you're behind, because you look for the time and it punishes you again. It gets worse and worse. Hamilton's struggles appear increasingly mental as well as technical. His confidence in medium to high-speed corners has visibly diminished, a weakness particularly evident at the high-speed Jeddah circuit. Martin Brundle offered his assessment after the Saudi Arabian race. He said, I struggle to buy into that Lewis doesn't understand the car. It's a new car, but we are knocking on the door of May. Instead, Brundle suggests a different problem, saying, I just think Lewis hasn't gelled with this car. I don't think he's going the right way on setup. Things I've heard from Mercedes are, Lewis likes the car in a certain way. It's difficult days. Former Hayes F1 team boss Günther Steiner expressed deeper concerns about Hamilton's psychological state. Steiner said, I'm more concerned about what he thinks about, when he's asking about where I lost time, and then Jesus, it's like, yeah, the engineer can tell you where you're losing the time, but for sure he cannot make you understand why you're losing it. That's down to you. Steiner added, the worst thing would be if Lewis is losing his confidence, because then it will be a backwards race. It is a concern, in my opinion. This creates a potential downward spiral. As Hamilton searches for answers, each disappointing result risks further eroding his confidence. Steiner said, how they get out, I have no idea. Hamilton's post-race comments in Saudi Arabia revealed his growing frustration. He told this to the media, I don't have an answer for you, no. There's nothing. Balance, struggling to feel the car beneath me, but there's no particular thing. It's just, there's nothing to say, hey, this is the issue. His outlook for the remainder of the season was bleak. At the moment, there's no fix. This is how it's going to be for the rest of the year. It's just going to be painful. He described the race as horrible and not enjoyable at all, while candidly admitting he lacked answers for his struggles. Looking ahead to Miami, he predicted continued difficulties. I think I'll struggle also in Miami. I don't know how much longer I'll struggle for, but it's definitely painful. Hamilton has been open about the differences between his car and Leclerc's performance. Yeah, him and his side are definitely obviously doing a better job